711 is over, 711 is over, 2 crosses, North Broad, local stop over. 711 is over, 2 crosses, North Broad, local stop over. North is 711 is over, we have 77 smartphone, please start out to the mall. 711 is over, 2 crosses, North Broad, local stop.
So I'm going to RUTH'FD, as they abbreviate it. Seems like they could have apostrophized twice. Another one between the F and the D. I just heard a funny joke. I called the daily prayer line. Sometimes they do a little joke. He said, police officer pulled a guy over and noticed he had a whole bunch of matches and lighter fluid, and he thought the guy might be an arsonist or a terrorist. And the guy, so he asked him what it was for. He said, well, I'm a juggler and I juggle flaming batons. And the cop didn't believe him, so he made him get out of the car and demonstrate. So the juggler starts masterfully juggling some flaming sticks, and so this other car drives by and sees what's going on, and he says, well, I'm glad I quit drinking. Look at the tests they put you through now. Mildly amusing. Anyway, see what awaits in Rutherford. Looky here, another one of these little free libraries. These things are everywhere. I found one on Staten Island. I think it's the first one I've seen in any of these New Jersey cities, though. This one's almost filled to capacity. And there's a gazebo behind it.
I never doing the this stick is so bent. Which one? Like I did?
I have my
yeah.
You know, I honestly thought this was a cemetery as I approached. That arched semicircle sign reminds me of, I think, Cypress Hill Cemetery in Queens, and which also goes over under Brooklyn, but I think their Cypress Hill sign looks something like this. And the frilly lettering on the gates also made me think this was some kind of cemetery. It's a baseball field or some kind of, or a football field. It's a field. Tell you what, this is not a real walkable town. At least not the areas I've wandered into at this point. This doesn't look like the safest path for anything but the cars. I think I'll find another way. I saw this one from across the street, but couldn't get a clear line of sight on it. No phone here. If the power outlet works, maybe you could use this as a charging station. Oh, look at this. Somebody left a whole nickel. Some cobwebs. Yeah, this is Park Avenue. 73 Park Avenue. Look at this though, right around the corner. Park Avenue and the Terrace. All branding is gone. No way to tell really who owned this one or who left it behind. I think I see a date. Yeah. What does that say? 1980 something? I'll be able to read it more clearly when I watch this video later. No dial tone, but what? No chance either. There's the metal pipe securing the landline, which is gone. I saw a couple of these earlier. These fire emergency boxes look like they're supposed to work. I mean, the ones in New York are supposed to work, but I wouldn't think even a fraction of them do. This was developed by the Gamewell company, but some of the older ones in New York were developed by the Gillette company, better known for its razors. There's the Gamewell icon logo. When I say these things are supposed to work, that's not to imply that they do. It just means that there are probably rules on the books that require these things to be functional, but I really doubt any of them are. Then again, maybe I shouldn't be so skeptical. Most of them probably get a fresh coat of paint every once in a while. But the rules in New York are clear that those things are supposed to work. It's a American with Disabilities Act requirement. But I wouldn't think even a fraction of them do work. I think I see something up ahead. Indeed I do. With the help of the telephoto, I could zoom in. Be certain I was actually getting ready to turn around. This is still Park Avenue. There's something odd about that enclosure though. Maybe see what I think when I get up close. Oh, and look up, there's another one. This enclosure up ahead is curious looking. Let's see if there's anything in this store. Oh, that's an auto body shop or something like it. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Okay, maybe it's not that strange looking. Just looks a little oversized, but it looks like the from a distance it looked weird. It looks fine. Well, maybe we'll get some skinny on who abandoned this one. It looks like some identifying information remains. What is this? Park and East Pierpont. Oh, it's ETS. Wow. I don't think I've seen one of these that I can remember. ETS was at the center of one of the biggest scams in the history of the payphone business. This guy was selling payphone routes to mostly elderly people. It was just a big fat Ponzi scheme. You can look it up. It's one of those many things that contributed to the payphone having a pretty bad reputation among the general public. Yeah, ETS was a big fat scam. I'll bet you this was one of them. This was one of the phones that guy sold to some unsuspecting victim. Lost a lot of money. It says they're from Jersey City. I remember them as being from Atlanta, but I guess maybe they had multiple offices. I'm sure I saw ETS phones at some point in the past, but they didn't mean anything to me. Ooh, look at that one. Looks like somebody's been chewing on it, or hacking at it with an ice pick, maybe. I'm guessing there was a big sign of some sort up in this space. Maybe it had long distance race or something. So an old ETS, that really echoes back to about as big a scandal as you might have heard about in the payphone business, or as big a scandal as there might have been, except for the guys who, I don't know if it's a bigger scandal, but the guys who robocall, they program their phones to robocall toll-free numbers, and they do that because, as I've no doubt said, every toll-free call made from a payphone earns the payphone owner about 50 cents. So some unscrupulous payphone owners would program their phones to just robocall every 800 number in the phone book. It's the kind of thing you can get away with forever if you don't get greedy. But some people were just racking up millions and millions of dollars in these 50-cent toll-free calls. But ETS was a big fat fraud. Okay, so let's see what we got with this one across the street. It's a Verizon. Ah, the phone's gone. Just a clamshell. Just a clamshell where the payphone used to be. That ETS guy, he scammed millions of dollars out of people. I think he would do late night infomercials or late night commercials advertising that you too can own a payphone route with no investment, no money down. But there actually was a lot of money down on the equipment and everything. There's another coin left on top of a dead old phone. Or not even dead old phone. Long gone phone. I'll leave that one. That ETS thing, man, that's a little window into one of the bigger payphone stories to hit the news, to hit the papers. There's an abandoned enclosure over here. I don't think I'm going to cross over. It's a very busy street for this thing. That's an old Bell Atlantic enclosure. Outside of what's it called? Mario Auto Service. funny, I decided to cross over after all. This intersection has its fits and starts. After I got the previous clip, I remembered that somebody on the channel, Ian, commented on a previous video that if I was going to Rutherford, he made a couple of suggestions, and I realize now that I guess this was one of them. I didn't realize that when I first spotted it, but I remembered he made some suggestions, so I went to go look for it. And I guess this is one of them. I'm sort of confused about what intersection this is, but it seems close enough according to the map. He also suggested Rutherford High School. I'm going to have to take a pass on that because I've got to get the 408 train back, or I'm going to be very unhappy. And by my estimate on the map, at least, Rutherford High School looks a little far to be sure I can get back in time. But here you go, an old Bell Atlantic left to rot. Although actually it looks like it's survived the elements reasonably well. Tell you what though, I approached this same intersection earlier from the other side, and I think I said something about this not being a very walking town, a very good walking town. I stand by that with regard to this intersection in terms of safety and being careful. I don't think anybody should be walking through this little quagmire, but well, I don't know. Just thought I'd say that. Like the return trip, I have 23 minutes to make the transfer. Coming over, I had 7, and I really didn't think I was going to make it because I don't always know where the hell I'm going in Secaucus. But I should really figure it out one of these days. But this is a fun little trip over to Rutherford. I'll have more to say about the payphone scams maybe next time, because there were a lot more than just the toll-free number scam and the ETS Ponzi scheme. I mean, really, the ETS one wasn't strictly a payphone thing. A Ponzi scheme could leverage anything, but it really did give payphones a bad name, or help contribute to it. But there were plenty of other reasons payphones got a bad reputation besides just that. Okay, so I had less time in Secaucus than I expected, but that doesn't really matter. I thought I was going to have 20-something minutes. I had like 10. But on the way to the transfer on track 2, I spotted what looks like it should be a fully working PTS TTY rig. It looked like I would have had to pay a fare to get to it from where I was, so I didn't bother with that. But I grabbed this blurry sort of impromptu shot just to remind myself that I remember somebody on this channel commented that I should make a project of checking out Secaucus sometime, and that's what I intend to do. But I don't know if this one works, but I guess I'll probably find out at some point. So there you go. There's also this sign down on track 2 that leads you to or that says that there's a text TTY phone up on the upper level. That, I believe, if this is true, it's because of an American with Disabilities Act requirement that says if you have a working TTY phone, you're not allowed to get rid of it until it completely malfunctions and goes out of service, but you have to maintain it in good faith or something like that. So if that TTY actually works, then the Secaucus NJT station is stuck with it until it fails unrecoverably.